People have every right to ask, I donate to your ministry, I donate to your church. Like, where's the church building? And I'm confused as to why you guys have why is there 3 locations of the Go Church and there's no building? The main church does not have a building. You guys are in a school auditorium. And I understand when you first start out in ministry, you just kind of have to do what you have to do. But you guys are 7 years in. And then the other thing that I want to just point out is that the Go Downtown, which is ran by Amanda and Michael Pittman, is closed. Amanda and Michael Pittman went on social media, I want to say a week or 2 ago, and said that they're no longer pastoring. That church was open, 30 minutes? We've got to stop allowing pastors to plant churches who went to the school of neology. That's not going to work. And I understand that God called you and God equipped you. I totally get that. I agree. But here's the thing. You guys are responsible for people's soul. Like you guys state on your website, you have over 60,000 people that have registered for Pinky Promise. They deserve leaders that are willing to get a formal education so that they can preach the gospel correctly and that they can lead a church correctly. These churches aren't growing. These people are leaving. If you pay attention to Heather and Cornelius Lindsey and to the Gathering Oasis, just go back on their Instagram account. You will see consistently every couple months, people are leaving. And it just goes back to what people were messaging me and what people were saying. And a lot of these people are afraid to speak out for fear of retaliation. And a lot of the people that are inside of their ministry can't speak out because they sign NDAs. So who is going to speak up? Who's going to say something? I'll tell you who. Y'all got the right one now. Y'all got the right one. Because I'm not for taking advantage of people.
Cornelius and Heather Lindsey are described by former followers as wolves in sheep's clothing, who prey on the financial pockets of their followers, in the hopes that they continue to pay for their family's lavish lifestyle. Heather is the founder of Pinky Promise, an organization that promotes honoring God with your body and life, whether single, aka abstinent, or married.
Anybody can get a ring, honey. I don't just want a ring on my finger. I believe that marriage is ministry and my marriage should have some type of purpose. If it's got no purpose, then why would I be in it? So I told the Lord that I was going to be single for a season where I would not entertain anybody or date anybody. And it just seemed like the bells and the whistles went off all over the world because all these guys started to come up to me to try to talk to me. And I'm like, would y'all leave me alone? I'm trying to be single. I'm trying to enjoy my little self. And, I had to really learn to trust God in the quiet.
I definitely don't want that. But here's the thing that I realized is that, what kills the body of Christ more than people that comment and quote unquote bash other people about their beliefs and stuff? It's when people see things, when Christians see things that isn't right and they don't speak up. When good people don't say anything, when they let stuff continue and continue and continue and they don't call it out and they stand by people that they know should be sat down, that causes more damage to the body of Christ than the people, the whistleblowers that are actually speaking up. Because what we're doing by not speaking up, by not voicing what's going on, is we are enabling people to take advantage of people who are in weak positions. I cannot tell you how many Pinky Promise sisters that I've met that are single, lonely, depressed, and sad. And they look up to Heather. It's borderline worshiping Heather because that's the lifestyle that they want.
It's basically a purity movement where at best, single Christian women are taught that singleness is a result of being especially chosen by God, who's pruning them for a husband. Or at worst, that they are destined for a life of solitude until the return of Jesus Christ. Jesu Christi.
Purity culture is of the belief that sex outside of a heterosexual marriage is a sin. The purity movement was started in the 1990s in the Midwest by conservative evangelicals who claim to want to protect their daughters and young women from what they claim as immoral sexual behavior. Unmarried young people, usually minors, are given purity rings made to sign contracts called abstinence pledges, where they make a promise to their God to pray away impure thoughts and keep their heart and body pure until they're married. They're also told not to wear revealing clothing so they don't cause boys and grown men to be tempted by their bodies. And abstinence is the only thing taught to teenagers for sexual education within the purity culture movement. Many women within this movement are uninformed about their bodies, normal sexual feelings, and how to properly protect themselves against pregnancy and STDs. The darker message purity culture promotes is that a woman's value doesn't lie in her brain, her heart, or her spirit, but with what's between her legs. And that's why purity culture is harmful to all women.
Although it appears that the honeymoon phase between Heather and her followers has ended, given the following reviews of her programs.
You're going down to the big house. That Okay? Periods. You did it. Now you gotta go to jail.
This so-called nonprofit has been abusing funds for several years. The founder of Pinky Promise, Heather Lindsey, has been funneling money through this organization tax-free. This organization frequently fails to send purchased merchandise to customers, forgetting to send orders, and they do not give refunds even when asked and stocked online. They are a scam operation. Do not do business with them whatsoever.
I'm calling you out. I'm so sick of these people. You know, oh!
Angelica Luma says, just don't support this company. Sells extremely overpriced services and tickets while offering little value. I supported Pinky Promise and even purchased books in the past. The book was poorly written with recycled content. I do not understand the structure of Pinky Promise, and while it appears to be a non-profit organization, there is very little charity events and work, while prices for services and events are astronomical. I do not trust this business. I would encourage anyone to do research before supporting.
Watch people, because you can fake for a long time, but one day you're going to show yourself to be a phony.
That's for true.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's what these, a lot of people are doing these days.
Another one. This organization is a front for scamming and spiritual abuse. Heather inflates prices for the event with no proof of any community give back. She then requests additional separate funds for that. Heather made the 2020 conference online and refused to discount or account for the reason it still cost $95 to sit in the comfort of your home. She dropped the price for new registrants to $75. But what happens to those who already paid $95? Nothing. No refund, nada, zilch. This is just the tip of the iceberg. She sets up monthly charges for services canceled and doesn't give refunds when called out either. Just a scammer, allegedly, until it's been proven and decided in court.
Instantly, I remember logging off and just feeling like, I don't ever want to be a leader. If this is what it's about, I have to stay in 5-star hotels. If churches can't afford me, then I'm not going to preach the gospel to them. Like, I'm not interested in that, And so that's when I really decided, okay, I'm really, really done. So I sent them an email to cancel, and, they never responded back. I tried to cancel in the portal. It wouldn't let me. And so they charged me again and again. And when I went back and looked at my credit card statement, what I noticed was that I actually had been double charged since the beginning. I didn't pay attention to it, but they was billing me twice a month. So I was 2 months in, I had been billed for a total of 4 months. And so when I noticed that, not only did I want to cancel, but I also wanted my refund for the months that they double charged. And so I finally, when I asked for a refund, that's when somebody from Pink Leaders responded back and said, okay, well, just send me proof. And what I did was I sent them a screenshot of my credit card statement showing where, like, in the month of November, they charged me like 3 times. And I'm going to put that in this video where you guys can see. Because I'm all about, if you're going to make an accusation, if you're going to say anything about somebody, make sure you have receipts. Make sure you can back it up.
Heather Lindsey is a scamming fraud. She had me pay her over $1,200 for her mentoring. She didn't offer me but 2 one-on-one sessions. Always referred me to my Bible and had me in group settings. Also, she had me donate money to a baby shower about 2 years ago from a lady who almost had an abortion. Only problem is the lady in the UK never surfaced, so I feel that was a gimmick. The final straw was when I donated money to her grocery giveaway, quote unquote. It was all a hoax. This lady must be stopped. She uses God to get young people to believe her nonsense.
And so yes, I never got my money back from that. Also from the leadership, from her mentorship class. Her mentorship class, was also something else that I wasted application. Because it was $100 just to apply.
It's an evil world we live in. But hey, I'm going to keep living and loving life.
And see, I didn't know that, and it's my fault because I didn't read the fine print, because I thought it was $100 for the total program. And so, you know, it was $100 just for the application, and what they told us was that, okay, you pay the $100, you fill out this application with a whole bunch of forms and stuff on it, and a whole bunch of questions, and, you know, we need very detailed responses. Heather is going to review it personally, and if she considers you a good fit, then you'll be a part of her mentorship program. What they did not tell you was that, what they did not tell me, was that mentorship program was $2,000. And and it took about, I want to say, like a month for them to get back to me. And the only reason why they got back to me because I emailed them like, hey, can I get an update? Like, I done paid my $100. Like, have I been accepted? Like, is this, you know, what's going on? If I didn't get accepted, can I get my application fee back? Because they said the application fee was refundable. If you applied and weren't accepted, or if you applied and you didn't, for some reason, didn't join the mentorship program, you got a $100 application fee back. So when I asked about that, she instantly, I think it's her assistant, instantly emailed me back and said, oh yeah, hey, Heather Lindsey just looked at it and you're good, you're approved. I'm like, what? So mind you, I sent this email probably at 4 o'clock and she responded back at 4:03 that I was in. And I mean, I had took a lot of time filling out this long application with very thoughtful responses because I wanted to get in and I wanted her to see that I was serious about my walk with Christ and being mentored.
People lie, cheat, steal.
Disappoint.
Yeah, they're hypocrites. You know, they tell you what they think you want to hear. Now, I don't fall into that category.
And so when she told me I was approved, I got the email and it told me that I was, you know, accepted or whatever, and the steps to join. So I clicked for pay. It was $2,000 to join the mentorship program. $2,000. And I mean, I could afford it, but you know, I just think it's a total ripoff. The curriculum of the mentorship program was pretty much just, you know, literally what it said was you're gonna get on a phone call with Heather Lindsey for an hour, like once a week, and we're gonna talk about anything you want to talk about, from ministry to raising kids to whatever, you know, whatever you want to talk about. This is what we're gonna do. There is no structure. There's no, you know, there's no tangible benefits from joining it besides you get to talk to Heather Lindsey, and that's it. About God knows what, whatever you feel at the moment. That's what we're gonna talk about. And so, you know, once again, you know, I'm like, this is some more money that I done wasted. Now I need my $100 back. Can y'all run me my $100? To this day, I've never gotten that money. To this day, I've never gotten back all the months they double charged me for pink leaders. I've never gotten any of my money back. I've sent several emails.
I hope the world can see now what's really going on out here, because it's getting ridiculous. It's really ridiculous.
That's the danger with religion sometimes. It's like, it's a very murky area between being finessed and actually following the scripture and following the word of God. It can get pretty blurry sometimes.
The foundation of the spiritual manipulation. When this man of God told me that I was going to marry this dude, I really thought like, yeah, I'm gonna marry this dude. As of today, he's engaged to somebody else. And he broke things off with me, and this man of God was trying to make me believe that, you know, he was going to come back and he was going to marry me, and, you know, all of this stuff that I just needed to make sure that I am giving to his pockets, that I needed to make sure that I was evangelizing and serving in his church. And that was the only way that I was going to get married. Now, with what I encountered, what I endured, pretty much the whole idea, the whole concept of marriage to this guy was what was being used against me, pretty much. And it first started with him telling me that God spoke to him and told him to leave my home church, the church that I was born into, that I was raised in, the church that I have done so many things in. And I was told to leave that church and come to his church. I was told to stop tithing in my home church before I left my home church.
Heather Lindsey, courtesy of Alchemy, Washington. Heather Lindsey is stealing non-profit money to fund her lifestyle. Okay. She's underreporting income. You don't get what you pay for with pinky promise. Multiple women have not received what they paid for. The Pinky Promise organization has poor leadership, and Heather is very disrespectful. Do not spend your money with this organization.
However, we sold the Range Rover to pay Heather's Amex card. We sold the Range Rover to do what? Pay Heather's Amex card. When did I say this? 2016. Did I have any reason to say this outside of the fact that it was true? No.
Exactly. And it went to one person. Who was that one person?
Cornelius.
Exactly.
Based off the invoice breakdown based off the invoice Heather sent you. This is me to Cornelius. That you forwarded to me. There were personal expenses. What type of expenses?
That's on number 1.
When did I say this?
You said that in January.
I said this back in January 2017.
2016.
Did I say anything to Ayana about personal mingling?
No.
Did I ever know in 2016 that all this was going to come out?
No.
I didn't. But your arrogance is making it come out.
Right. Really foolish.
It's foolish.
And to think this is why he got fired.
This is why I got fired.
It's foolish.
I'm going to show y'all that too. I only sent it to one person. That was Cornelius. His eyes saw this before you.
Right.
He saw this years ago.
Right. Right.
Do I have any incentive? No. Outside of the fact it's true. It's what happened.
Try Jesus, not me. Cause I throw hands.
We sold the Range Rover for $10,000. What Range Rover?
You bought it because Heather sold it to you.
Okay. We still owed Heather $6,752. The church
Right.
owed Heather, the only lady. When have you ever heard the church? Can I sell my car to the church?
I guess.
If we just
selling stuff,
starting the ministry of selling your car to the church,
sell your house too.
I could have sold my challenge to the church.
You sure could have. That's exactly what you could have did. Exactly.
And the cherry on top of the cake, labor exploitation.
Saved, people were pastored, discipled, put into community, fed the word of God, and empowered to live for God. But it was all by the grace of God. Many people in our congregation who attended church on Saturday nights also attended services on Sunday mornings, us included. Some of our leaders were even serving at both services. Inevitably, some of them began to experience burnout, and many of them didn't feel like they truly had a day off. Additionally, parking on Saturday nights in downtown is insane and absolutely terrible. People would have to park on the street or pay for parking, and the venue we were at had parking spaces that were super close together. We had the right seats, but the wrong environment. So as a team, we made the decision to stop Saturday night services in August 2019 and prepare ourselves to launch strong with Saturday morning services August 2020. Why the wait? Because when we launched the church, we didn't have the resources, support, or structure to sustain the church. Amanda and I were not on salary or paid by the go, other than 2 or 3 offerings of appreciation. In fact, we kind of paid to be pastors. We tied our gross income and gave countless hours of our time and energy to make it as excellent as possible. We believe God called us to this, so we did everything in our power to support the mission with the Lindseys that we had. From the Lindseys to these employees, we saw manipulative practices and speech, gaslighting, unfair treatment, financial abuse, and overall domineering leadership. Not only that, but Heather slandered one of these employees to Amanda, not knowing that Amanda knew more of what had been happening within their business. During this time, not only were multiple employees asked to work overtime, do work unpaid, and do it under the guise of its ministry, but they were chastised if they refused to do so. What we saw and learned from various other individuals after our eyes were open and only continued to grieve and sicken us. We do not stand for or support spiritual abuse of any kind. We believe that Jesus came to serve the least of these, and that we must fight to protect everyone, especially those in positions of vulnerability. Us remaining in the church after learning this information was not something we could stand for. We soon began hearing other accounts of people who had been mistreated by the Lindseys throughout the years. These were from people who had no reason to lie, but shared in confidence. We knew immediately that it was time to leave. The Bible is clear that in 2 Timothy 3 to avoid such people. Our allegiance was, is, and always will be with God, not a person or ministry. However, we needed to know when to leave. So we fasted, prayed to God for clear instructions. He made it clear that we were to leave quickly and quietly.
My interest for Pinky Promise stopped in 2018. It was an absolute disappointing experience. I traveled all the way from Texas to come to this event with my best friend. When they expressed a lot of need for volunteers, I decided I wanted to donate some of my time while there. For some reason, volunteering with them is more of an authoritative experience and very unpleasant. I feel that when they asked me to volunteer for Pinky Promise, it was more like they were demanding me to do a full-time job for nothing.
The fact that this mother is not serving time in some federal penitentiary is a huge, hot, heaping pile.
When I volunteer, I choose how much time I'm going to donate, period. But instead, they gave me this long, drawn-out schedule that told me what I was going to do through my day from about 8 a.m. all the way to about 6 p.m. Sheesh, 3 days? I could not have any control on how I wanted to donate my time. They even would not allow me to take breaks when I wanted them to be taken. They told me I had to follow the schedule. It was extremely tasking and exhausting.
Try Jesus, not me. Cause I throw hands.
Some of her OG original scams include allegations of tax evasion,
for accounting for tax purposes, we have pinky promise, we have the church, pinky promise, and we have Mentorship, and all three are separate. The issue is that the tax code, if they were to go after pinky promise and to take something to the pinky promise, then what will happen is that now they will have access to come after everything that pretty much my wife and I that we have, which will also include the church. So we're trying to, for tax reasons, we're trying to make sure that we're protected. It's more difficult for the government to come after the church than it is for them to go out of outside organizations. We can prove that we're a church, but outside organizations like Pinky Promise, like the Man Cave, which are nonprofit, they can still infiltrate those more, and because they're connected to us, then they can take down this church. So our goal is to take those things tax-wise, to put them underneath the church, so the church can provide a firewall.
People lie, cheat, steal.
Disappoint.
Yeah, they're hypocrites. You know, they tell you what they think you want to hear. Now, I don't fall into that category.
Then we want to create other firewalls that ultimately keeps the government out of this place. Now, how does that relate with women's ministry and stuff like that? I know you have questions about that. See, the things that goes on here at the church, we want to make sure that those things continue. When, you know, if whatever that we do, we want to make sure that those things continue. It's not that we're coming here saying, Melissa, we don't want you anymore. We're going to add Pinky Promise. We're going to throw in a new Pinky Promise leader from Georgia State University, and that's going to be it. We want, and I guess I can let you speak more to that, baby, as much as we talked about it. But just so people know, our motivation for that was to make sure the government doesn't come in and take the church. That's our biggest thing. And that's, you know, things that we're preparing for that are going to come down the clock. You want to express more of that?
Well, so pretty much just to add to what he was saying is Pinky Promise also already has a structure. You know, there's studies, there's community service you can do, there's prayer night. I mean, it's all the same thing. We're just renaming it, and we're saying it's Pinky Promise underneath the umbrella. Again, we want to protect Pinky Promise so it doesn't go, again, if the IRS comes, it doesn't go for everything else. So I guess we'll just call it Pinky Promise, you know, the Gathering Oasis, which is fine. And we can, it really doesn't matter, but it's more so for tax purposes, again, to put it underneath. So if you want to do a study, then great. You know, if you don't, if you want to do other activities, if you want to get together with me, we can plan different things. We can totally do that too. Just let me know, and you know I'm down to do whatever.
This ain't about no love. The whole thing was a setup. This ain't about no love. The whole thing was a setup.
But so in 2019, this is Pinky Promise. This is their EIN number, and then they're saying they made less than $50,000. Now, how can an organization that has over 60,000 women make less than $50,000? Now, from the Pinky Promise, just from the Pinky Promise conference alone, there's over 2,500 women that come. And just ticket sales, it's like $70, $80, $100 per ticket. Do that times 2,500, and also account for the vendors that are at the Pinky Promise conference. It's $500 per booth. How do I know? I've inquired about a booth before for one of my own personal businesses. And so they sell merchandise there. There's no way that an organization that has over 60,000 women and has an annual conference with over 2,500 women should be saying they gross receipts aren't greater than $50,000. I think that the IRS needs to take more time and further investigate this, because once again, like I pointed out in my original video, where is the money going from Pinky Promise? They're saying they made less than $50,000, you know. So where's that conference money coming from? And every night they take up an offering. Where's this money coming from?
Certain lives, so they're like, oh, okay, well, let me do this and charge for this and charge for that, but it's not spirit-led. So, like life coaching, people always try to get me to do life coaching. And they're like, I'll pay you to counsel me. No, I'm not taking your money. Yeah. But I would love to counsel you, but I can't because there's 50 million people that want counseling too. Right.
Yo, this is where he capping, y'all, and I'm gonna hold him accountable. Pay attention to what just happened.
Isn't this the life class that Heather said she would never do because she don't have time and she would never charge people to mentor them? She's not a life coach.
We have the tapes. We have the information.
As well as spiritual and financial abuse of congregational members of Gathering Oasis Church.
Because we wanted to work hard, remember that, to be independent, financially independent of the church.
Yeah.
So that our lifestyle was never
dependent
upon the church.
Hey, watch this. Watch how we bring it out of him.
Because I was talking to, and the crazy thing, as a pastor, I could ruin so many lives.
Oh my gosh.
Because of everything I know.
We know everything.
like,
We're like the main people that say stuff. I'm like, yo, we could drag you.
So many lives. Like all I need is just one.
Original email that was sent to in regards to the Gathering Oasis church salary. So it says, this is urgent, so please read it in its entirety and respond ASAP. Hello, hope this email finds you well, and I appreciate your patience for waiting on the reports. I just reviewed our accounts and finances that the Gathering Oasis church has coming in and going out. Here's the proposal to increase Pastor Cornelius' pay, housing stipend, etc. This is listed as a monthly basis. Pastor stipend, $8,000. Child care expenses, $3,000, $1,000 per child. Housing expense, $3,000, for a total of $14,000. The funds that will be allotted to pastors should only be contributed to household/personal needs. Moving forward, there shouldn't be any transfers to others from his money. All other requests that come to pastors should be submitted as benevolence requests and approved by proper departments, procedures. Now let's talk about the vendors, contractors that are on hire for church. Please see listed below and my suggestions moving forward. My suggestion is those who have been on hire for 6 months to present stay grandfathered into their pay. This is on a monthly basis payout. So this is what they pay their staff. Pastor's aide, $2,000. Audio engineer, $800. Worship leader, $1,500. Pianist, $1,200. Security, $1,600. The new hires we just brought on, let's put them on a probation period. I feel like numbers listed below will put us at the top of our budget. If they do not produce the work, yada, yada, yada. So anyway, it's just, this bottom part right here where it says video producer is just what the starting pay for the people on the staff. I got to send out this proposal about increasing Cornelius' pay. And as you can see, they have been paying their assistant and everybody else pennies compared to what they were making. But as you guys just heard, they hopped on their podcast and repeatedly said the church never paid them any money. They repeatedly said that they never made anything from the church. All they did was give out. As you can see, in 2018, the church was still operating out of a movie theater in like a shared space. And I take that back. They might have been at their Decatur location, but the point is they did not have a permanent location. The point is they consistently kept lying to members saying Pastor Cornelius didn't make a dime, when we see right here, everybody agreed to this man's salary increase to $14,000. And this was in 2018. So let me tell y'all something. What's happened with Cornelius is the money has ran out from the church. The church can no longer give him $14,000 a month because people have left, and now they want out. So you can believe what you want to believe about that podcast, but right here, I have real tangible proof with emails from Heather Lindsey and all the people that was on this fake board agreeing to approve this man's salary, who just hopped on a podcast and said that he didn't make a dime from the church. And I get it, I know I sound a little hyped up right now. And it's because when you catch somebody in a lie that has caused people so much hurt and pain, it's hard for me not to get a little bit riled up, because he was on there on that podcast cussing and saying he can, it's just nothing but a phone call and he can totally destroy somebody's life. Baby, ain't nothing but an email. And you have no idea the amount of evidence that other people have about everything that you guys have done. So this is why the Lindseys are stepping down. It had nothing to do with being a new season. It had everything to do with money. Have a nice day.
Where Cornelius and Heather Lindsey used to co-pastor until things became too hot in the kitchen. AJ writes, the pastors of this church haven't even been to seminary school. Cornelius has also been heard on audio using the church as a tax haven to avoid paying taxes. Heather and Cornelius have been commingling funds and using church funds to pay off student loans, spa days, and other expenses. They must be stopped. Mary writes, please don't go to this church. After 7 years, they still don't have a building, but somehow had the money to buy $1 million house? It could make sense. Heather and Cornelius Lindsey were also soliciting donations via Cash App in April 2020 for grocery giveaway. There it goes again. They posted on social media about supposedly giving away thousands of dollars, but never showed any receipts. Where did that money go? There's absolutely no leadership left whatsoever. They've all left. No one to hold them accountable. They themselves apparently have overseen the financials for years. Big red flag.
Everyone, listen up. You didn't lose your money. Now, you have your... technically, you kind of lost your money.
And this one is titled Major Thief Alert. I wonder how this one's gonna go. She says, this church is run by two scamming pastors, Cornelius Lindsey and his wife, Heather. Quote unquote, she claims to not be a pastor, but gets paid to preach. Make it make sense, Lindsey. They have several former pastors and leaders go on the record to say that they majorly misappropriate church funds. For example, they have been in business, because this is not a church, for 7 years and have no building. But they do have $1 million home. They also had the church pay $20,000 to Miss Lindsey for a car that stayed parked in the driveway and eventually was gifted to Cornelius' mom. They have also been accused of sexual misconduct and emotional and mental abuse. Well, there goes, just tack on all the forms of abuse, clearly. Allegedly.
It sounds hard, but if you feel like you're part of some sort of slave labor, listen, being a volunteer is great. But when it comes to a point where it feels as if you are volunteering every single day, they alienate you from your friends and family and tell you that, hey, if someone complains about how much time you're spending at this church, something's wrong with them. It's not you. They're trying to cut you off from all of your support, where you feel as if you only get support from the church. And I'm telling you, you're going to wake up one day with no money, no friends, and the church is going to leave you sooner or later too, because you're not going to have any money. So you need to make sure that honestly, you want to help out with the church, you want to participate with the church, but don't become a literal slave to the church where you're there so often that you're not able to take care of yourself. This really happens a lot with people who are young, like we're talking about teenagers really trying to find their way in life. And then the people who are older, the retirees, where they're trying to really find that last church home, and this church is just milking and draining their retirement accounts because they feel as if this is now their new family.
So when you say slave, can you give me some examples of what kind of stuff in the church people would want to know? Like, what
yes.
is it?
All right, here are some characteristics to look out for. If the church is telling you, the church staff is telling you that they want you to respond immediately whenever they reach out to you, you have an obligation that if at any time they call, you need to respond and meet them somewhere or be at the church, their own time, no excuses made. That's unrealistic, people. It's unrealistic, right? That's one telltale sign. Another telltale sign is if they're telling you the work in the church is more important than your work as a husband, as a wife, as a provider for your family. This is more important. That's not necessarily the case. The church, in my experience, is supposed to help support you and strengthen you to be a better husband, father, wife, right? It's not supposed to take the place of the obligation. So if you are unable to pay your mortgage, unable to pay your rent, your car note, because you're giving so much of your time and your resources to this church, that is what I'm referring to as slave labor.
But I figured we'd take a look at their latest money-making endeavor, the busy stock market trader, and see if Heather has learned from her past missteps. Alright? Now, before Heather stands and fans and keyboard warriors go down to the comments saying, "Oh, you're just a hater, looking like a broke Dusty," please understand that just because someone sells a course for $500, $1,000, or more doesn't mean that they are automatically a fake guru. Shombo. You gotta contrast the marketing with the reality of making money in that industry. Pharmaceutical companies get sued every year for their misleading marketing and not disclosing the potential negative health effects of their drugs. Now, I don't follow anybody or anything blindly, whether it's modern medicine or traditional home remedies. Pharmaceutical companies such as Johnson & Johnson, Pfizer, and a host of others have settled lawsuits due to marketing products that have been detrimental to people's health.
Another one of Pfizer's billion-dollar drugs was finally pulled from the market. Being that smoking is a significant cause of cancer, the Smoking cessation drug from Pfizer called Chantix was a massive hit. Take Chantix to help you to quit smoking so that you can reduce your risk of cancer. But Chantix was pulled from the market this week because it, you guessed it, increases your risk of cancer. This is poetry. You just can't make this stuff up. But this isn't just Pfizer. This is an industry-wide system of corruption by drug companies. A report from the International Journal of Health Services found that in a recent 17-year time span in the United States, unsafe drugs were prescribed more than 100 million times before being recalled. This is just the stuff that they caught 100 million times before the drugs are recalled. The EJS Center for Ethics at Harvard University states that properly prescribed drugs cause nearly 2 million hospitalizations every year. And another 840,000 hospitalized patients are given inappropriate medications that cause serious adverse reactions, for a total of nearly 3 million serious adverse drug reactions every year. Every year. The Harvard researchers reported that approximately 200,000 of Americans die every year at the hands of pharmaceutical companies.
And just as these companies can get the smoke, individuals like Dr. Sebi and their medical practices must be questioned as well. The reason I hold make money online or investment courses and programs to such a high standard is because, unlike fitness or addiction, it doesn't necessarily cost you more money, substantially more money on an ongoing basis to implement the strategies and tactics taught in the course. You'll likely need an additional $500 to maybe $1,000 after paying for the course to actually implement or try out these money-making opportunities. You know, you don't really hear too many people going broke because they or being in debt because they bought a fitness program. You know what I'm saying?
Let's be nice. We don't have to go there. I mean, you're not wrong, but you didn't have to say it. I mean, good Lord.
Not to mention, in order to properly learn the stock market or operate a business such as Amazon FBA, being a content creator on YouTube, Shopify dropshipping, self-publishing audiobooks on Audible or ebooks on Kindle, it'll likely take you 2 to 3 years to be consistently profitable. So that 30 to 60 day refund policy, which Heather Lindsey conveniently doesn't offer, is really irrelevant. You won't really see the benefits or drawbacks of that course for at least a couple years. So if you are looking to invest in these business opportunities because you are in a mountain of credit card debt, I'd highly recommend the book Negotiate and Sell Your Debts by Mandy Ackridge. Link below for about $20, so that you can learn how to settle your debts with TD Bank, Scotiabank, Chase, Barclays, Bank of America for 30 to 50% of the total debt owed. Stop. Just stop making the minimum payments. It's barely making a dent into your overall debt. Rather, save up funds as a settlement offer to the bank. I also operate under the philosophy of having my own self-imposed credit card limit that is 20 to 30% of the limit that the bank has allotted me. For instance, the self-imposed $200 to $300 limit on a $1,000 credit card prevents me from being unable to make credit card payments because I'm over leveraging myself, and from having a high credit card utilization negatively affect my credit score. Ask me how I know. $12,000 of credit card debt will teach you a lot about personal finance and credit card management. I'll tell you that much. And if you do still happen to have a big purchase that is greater than your own self-imposed credit card limit, you gotta ensure that you are transferring money to pay that bill or that purchase that same day, or within the first 2 or 3 days of making that purchase. You should be checking your bank account like every other day. There shouldn't be too many days that pass by without you checking your account. Straight up.
Nigga, you gotta be ashamed of yourself, nigga. Real talk. You gotta be ashamed of yourself. How old is you with? Nigga, you gotta be ashamed of yourself, nigga. Real talk. You gotta be ashamed of yourself. How old is you with?
Also, most people recommend 6 months, but if you're in a rush, it doesn't hurt to have at least, at bare minimum, 2 to 3 months worth of expenses saved up, rent money, car payment saved up as an emergency savings fund. And this is done by paying yourself first before you pay all of your other bills. If you're getting paid $3,000 every 2 weeks, at least pay yourself 10% or 20%, which would be about $30 or $60. All right, is that fair? That makes sense, right? You don't want to be out here like Jonah Lucas giving a next A&R person your last $1,000. Okay, you don't want to be giving gurus online your last $5,000 or your last $2,000. Okay, you gotta make purchases like an adult. Okay.
I talked to Sky Zoo. Sky Zoo said you was solid. He was like, "Yo, Karen's solid. That's a good way to go." I said, "Bet." This is around the time Nipsey did his $100 mixtape shit. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, damn, Karen's the way to go. At the time, I had an investor. He done already kicked up so much money, and the only thing that I had left was a little bit of bread that we had left, in which we chose to hire you. And that was a big decision on our behalf, because that was all that was really left in the budget.
I'm sorry, who am I talking
Yeah,
to right
it's
now?
Jordan.
This
This is Jordan.
Okay,
This
cool.
is Jordan.
Okay, cool.
That's all that was really left in the budget at that time. That was 2015. You keep saying it was 7 years ago, but that was a big time in my life. My son was about to be just born. My back was against the wall. I had an investor who kicked up hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Also, feel free to contact your local certified financial planner. Just type in Google certified financial planner near me who is legally bound to the investment and money making advice that they're giving you. When there is recourse for their actions or advice, and you know the physical location of their place of business, the relationship tends to be drastically different than when you are just another number to gurus or influencers online, whom you have a parasocial relationship with. You get me?
I am a clown. I am a clown.
Shumbo, keep all of these personal finance principles in mind as you watch Heather Lindsey or any other guru's masterclasses or webinars going forward in future videos.
I want you to grow and mature as a stock trader and be able to do it yourself. So I'm going to be encouraging you to check out books and all this other stuff. Become a student of the market. Now I want you to just do this. Dedicate yourself to this for 6 months. 6 months. Okay? Dedicate yourself to it for 6 months. Give me 6 months where you're learning and you're applying and you're practicing. And then all of a sudden you're going to get it and it's going to click. And you're going to say, wow, I really know how to do this. Now, when it gets hard, I want to encourage you to keep going. And I know these days where I'm trading in the stock market and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is trash. I'm doing so bad today. Oh, I just feel like quit. I've had so many days I felt like quitting trading, right? But I didn't give up and I'm still here and I'm getting better and better. And now I'm green literally just about every day. I rarely have losses. I do have losses, but they're rare. Now my why and my goals, my family is—
Yo, this is where he capping, y'all, and I'm gonna hold him accountable. Pay attention to what just happened.
I do like that she's added some realism by mentioning a 6-month learning curve. But you'll still probably have big wins and even bigger losses for the next 2 to 3 years until you are consistently profitable. Now, I gotta ask y'all a question, right? Do y'all think it is easier to sell a course for $4.99 to 10 people and make $4,990 per month, or consistently be profitable, risking your own money in the stock market in order to make that same amount? You tell me.
I told you. What did I tell you? Didn't I tell you? 'Cause I told you. And when did I tell you? A long time ago. And what did I say will happen when I told you? Exactly what just happened.
You know what they say, right? During a gold rush, sell shovels rather than spending all that time and energy trying to dig for gold. You know, publicly traded companies have to disclose their financial reports, right? Because people are investing money into them. So likewise, if Heather Lindsey or any other guru online who's promoting an investment or money-making method showed us their income streams or brokerage accounts, we truly get an idea of how profitable of a trader they are, or how profitable they themselves are with that business opportunity. You get me?
For a fact are going to blow up, and I'm holding on to them because I know the company, I've studied the company, I believe in it, and I'm going to be sharing a list of all of those in the 6-week course too. Okay, now why I use 3 different accounts? and how much to start with. So I have a swing day trading crypto account and a long-term account. I started day trading with $500. But I want you to start with paper money. I'm going to say that over and over again. I love y'all. And I know some of you guys are super excited, especially if you're a risk taker like me. I get you. You just want to jump right in and make money, but you're going to blow your account. Okay. But let me tell you this I'll tell you that about paper trading. I'll just say it now, just in case I forget. But the thing about paper trading is there's no emotional connection to it, right? If you lose it, you don't care because you're like, whatever, it's just paper. But I want you to take it very seriously. If you start taking it seriously, then I want you to really learn. I paper traded for about 3 to 6 months when I was first getting started. And then I started using money, real money, but I only started small, $500. We're scaling in, right? Now, the thing about crypto is this. I know there's so much crypto, and a lot of y'all want to hear about crypto. Heather, give me updates about crypto.
So, like I mentioned before, right? You'll need an additional $500 after spending $500 on a course for a grand total of $1,000.
Call an ambulance! Call an ambulance! But not for me.
And she'll have you paper trade for the first 3 to 6 months as you begin implementing her strategies. Profitable strategies, I should say.
Now, the thing about crypto is this. I know there's so much crypto, and a lot of y'all want to hear about crypto. Heather, give me updates about crypto. Crypto is very risky, and it's a joke, right? So what I do is I buy crypto every week, no matter what the price is, because I know it's the future. So I'll get some Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, Cardano. Every week I have it set up. And also Polkadot, I didn't include it on here. But every week I have $25 to $100 going in each of these every week. So I'm not feeling it. It's just going there automatically. And I look up and the account is growing really fast. Right now, Bitcoin is at about $56,000. If you follow me on Instagram, I was saying, hey, y'all get in it around $12,000. And with Ethereum, I was telling y'all to get in it about $800, right? So, and I was talking about XRP and I was like, get in around 20 cents. XRP right now is over $1. Ethereum right now is about $4,500 right now, right? So I told y'all to get in a long time ago. So at this point, we can say, oh, I might be chasing. And the big thing in stocks we don't do is chasing. What does that mean? That means a stock or that crypto has ran all the way up and you're buying it at the top. What if it crashes? What if it falls? That's why we only invest in what we can possibly lose. Me transferring $25 to $100 over each month, or each week, I don't care. So if I lose it, I lose it, right? I know I'm not, because these are the future. It's
Try Jesus, not me, cause I throw hands.
Heather goes on to talk about crypto positions you could have bought if you had listened to her previously. But what about the ones you were wrong about? You know what I'm saying? Did you have a track record of showing us all of the ones you were correct about and the ones you're wrong about? Or are you just showing us the ones you're correct about?
Because I'm reinvesting my dividends. It's really cool to watch. Slow and steady wins the race. 5% a day, starting with $5,000 account. Listen, y'all. You'll be at $25,000 in 32 days. Can you believe that? By day 60, you will have $95,000.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
Can you believe that? This is why I say percentage. I want you to focus on percentage. When I was doing the math for this, I was like, oh my gosh, do people see that slow and steady wins the race? So every day you show up and you make 5%, which can be done. I'm going to show you guys strategies of how this thing can be done. But this is what people are doing. They're waking up, they're getting on here and they're trading and they're making 5% a day and they're consistent at it. And they look up and they're at 25,000. They look up and they're at $95,000, right? And so I want to encourage you, just ingrain this in your head, 5% a day, 5% a day with a $5,000 account. Even if you have 500, it's going to add up, y'all, over time if you can just remain consistent.
This is what she refers to as slow and steady. About a quarter into the webinar, and she was doing so good not to dangle income claims in front of our faces. A man can dream, can't he?
Do me a favor, please. Get out of here. Get out of here, man. Shit, I'm saying.
Let me repeat. There is no course that can produce easy returns over a sustainable period of time, especially when people like Mark Cuban are manipulating the stocks.
But I'm gonna look
see if I can find the Mark Cuban interview with the Earn Your Leisure guy.
Yeah.
Mark Cuban said that when he sold his company, right, to Yahoo, whoever it is he sold his company to, what he did was he actually sold it for stock.
Okay. Yeah.
This is what Mark Cuban said. Mark Cuban said that he would manipulate the Yahoo stock to go up or down depending on how much money he wanted to make. Right? I'm going to see if I find this video and I'm going to send it to you.
Okay.
And I remember I typed up, I said, is this guy crazy? He just admitted that he was manipulating the stock. Now, if Mark Cuban is doing that, you trying to tell me all these other people ain't doing that?
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
The stock, like, how did you have a crystal ball? Are you a psychic?
No. So first of all, like, after I sold Micro Solutions and that $2 million, I started off investing real conservative, but my broker used to come to me all the time and say, ask me questions about these technology companies. And I would know more about them than the people who were buying and selling the stocks at the brokerages. And so, you know, I would give them answers and realize after I gave them answers, the stocks would go up and down. If I said good stuff, the stocks would go up. If I said, I'm like, and he's like, dude, you got to start trading these stocks because you know more than our analysts.
All the time and say, ask me questions about these technology companies. And I would know more about them than the people who were buying and selling the stocks at the brokerages. And so, you know, I would give them answers and realize after I gave them answers, the stocks would go up and down. If I said good stuff, the stocks would go up. If I said, I'm like, and he's like, dude, you got to start trading these stocks because you know more than our analysts.
And so I did, and I was crushing it, right? And so for the next 4 or 5 years, I was making 80, 90, 100% a year of my money in the stock market. My bank just kept on going straight up.
If she could confidently produce these returns for people, why not open a hedge fund and make millions of dollars by investing other people's monies for them, rather than selling a course to make a few thousand? It's not, the math ain't mathin'. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, why paper trading? If you're a new trader, the market is going to take all your money. I put a trash can right there because we can take your money and put it in the trash. And that's not what we're going to do at Busy Trader. That is not what we're going to do. Do you want to blow your account? I have blown my account. I've done it a few times. You don't want that life. I don't know if y'all ready for that, but when I first got started, you want to know how much I lost that first year? Do y'all really want to know? Should I tell y'all? Oof, y'all don't hold it against me. Oof, I lost $18,000 that first year. Yeah, I ended up making more. I know, all those sad faces. It's okay. It's okay. I made more, though. I made more. I made much more. But when I was first learning, I was impatient and I wanted to see the money right now. So I want you guys to take that $18,000 loss and say, I will never let my account get blown that way. And what I was doing is I was taking my whole account and I was throwing it at one stock. And that's why I'm so passionate about this, because I've learned risk management. I've learned how to not throw my whole account into a stock. I want you guys to learn from my mistakes, and I'll be super transparent about my mistakes if that means it's going to help you from making it in the future. If I can ingrain it in your head that you can do this and, you know, you're enough and just don't blow your account. I've had a few big wins and even bigger losses that first year.
Was that a Freudian slip? She says, and I quote,
I've had a few big wins and even bigger losses that first year.
But throughout this webinar, she's yet to show her profit and loss statements. You know, it would be very hard to question her profitability or her credibility, right? If she showed us a 3 to 5 year track record. Are you still making big wins and bigger losses now as you're teaching us? Or I have no basis to verify this statement of yours. Make money online courses in various niches are littered with students making big wins and taking even bigger losses, right? It's funny because you'll say, oh, I bought this course, I made money. Wait, hold on. Rewind. How much did you invest overall? And how much have you made thus far? Did you invest $1,000 and you're making $500? What is the total amount of money coming in versus going out since you bought the course? That is the question. It's not, oh, I've made money. It's possible to make money, but is it profitable over a long period of time? That is a different question. But again, right? If you have your little 2 to 3 month emergency fund and are cautious of not utilizing more than 20 to 30% of your credit card and aren't buying courses with the intention of making money or paying off a substantial amount of debt for the next 2 to 3 years, buy as many online courses as you wish, okay? Buy it for whatever price. You have your emergency fund, you're cautious of your credit card, and you don't see yourself making money for the next 2 or 3 years, buy it all. Buy it all. $1,000, $10,000. Go ahead, do your thing, okay? Just do your thing.
I know, I'm pissing everybody off tonight. That's my job.
But just, be an adult about your purchases.
So I'm going to show you how to play like the hedge funds play. Come on. Or look at this. If you got in down here, if you look at this, this top chart right here, you see that line? It bounced off. I would have got in on that second run up for that green candle. And that's about, that's about 30 or 40%. And I would have sold and went about my day. So I'm going to show you guys how to get in quickly using support and resistance. I'm going to train you off of this is the training script. I'm going to show you guys how to do it. And you might say, oh, Heather, it's so overwhelming. When you first start anything, you're going to feel like that. But once you keep looking at it and you keep looking at it and you're like, I can do this. All you're doing is pushing buttons, y'all. Come on. You're about to, I declare this over everybody listening. You'll be a millionaire pushing buttons in the stock market.
People lie, cheat, steal.
Disappoint.
Yeah, they're hypocrites. They tell you what they think you want to hear. Now, I don't fall into that category.
Come on. All you're doing is pushing buttons. What happens when you lose your job and say you don't want to get the COVID shot and all this stuff is happening and you go home and you make an effort to learn this thing and you become a multimillionaire pushing buttons? One of the guys in my stock group, he made $4 million the other day in one day. Y'all, in one day, pushing buttons. The more time you spend with this chart, the more you'll be able to recognize high probability setups and the more you'll be able to jump in a stock. Okay. Don't want you to get overwhelmed. I want you to get excited and say, this is a challenge. I'm going to learn this. I'm going to learn this stuff. And I say this all the time. I beat the stock market at this game every day. I wake up and I say, I am a consistent trader and profitable trader. I'm an 8-figure multi-millionaire trader, right? What's your confession? Is your confession, oh, I can't do this? Or is it, no, I'm about to learn this real quick. I'm about to push these buttons and be a millionaire.
This is the type of examples that just is mind-boggling, right? How much did he lose before making that $4 million in one day? And why are you using such an outlandish outlier example? And better yet, how much was in his cash amount? Heather says that you will be a millionaire in no time. Basically pushing buttons in the stock market.
I'm gonna learn this stuff, and I say this all the time. I beat the stock market at this game every day. I wake up and I say I am a consistent trader and profitable trader. I'm an 8-figure multi-millionaire trader, right? What's your confession? Is your confession, oh, I can't do this? Or is it, no, I'm about to learn this real quick. I'm about to push these buttons and be a millionaire.
Talking this way is as goofy as those people who are making videos saying that new content creators can make money, make a full-time income, right? By not showing their face, not using their voice, and not editing the videos that they're uploading to YouTube. It's what they call YouTube automation. YouTube automation. Yeah, good luck with that.
Okay, I hired my 8-year-old son. I hired him to help with shipping products. I'm paying him $12,000 a year in a Roth IRA plus a taxable account, $6,000 each. I can write off that $12,000, and the compound interest will set up Logan for the future. So when Logan turns 21, he'll take over the account and he'll continue to contribute $1,000 a month, or I will, who knows, because he's a mama's boy and I probably will. At 48 years old, he'll have a minimum of $7 million. Look at that, y'all. Look at that. A lot of people weren't taught this. We weren't taught this. We can set our kids up to be multimillionaires right now. You might not say, all right, Heather, I can't put $12,000 a year in there for my kid. Okay, let's put $100. Put $100 a month. Let's start with something, because compound interest is going to take your money and grow it like crazy. If your babies are young, the younger your babies are, the better, right? So our kids are going to be banking. And I'm going to go through, my kids have like 5 different investment accounts.
Now, this sounds admirable until you find out that you copy and pasted this content and others from other people in the personal finance niche without crediting them. We have receipts. And shout out to Surviving Heather Lindsey and the Busy Trader Fraud on Instagram. Definitely made my research a lot easier. Y'all check them out for more nitty-gritty details on the many scams of Heather Lindsey and Cornelius.
We have the tapes. We have the information.
All right, so the first example, right? At the bottom, you'll see it says Busy Trader, right? Jessica is 35 and broke. The other guy, his Instagram is called Personal Finance Club. Luis is 35 years old and broke, but decides to make a change. Okay? she decides to cut her budget by $500 a month. Then she adds a side hustle that brings in $500 a month. She invests $1,000 a month into an index fund that has a 10% annual return. Okay, bottom. He reduces his monthly spending by $500 and picks up a side hustle for $500. He invests $1,000 per month in an index fund, providing a 10% return. At 65, Luis retires a millionaire with a net worth of $2,062,843. Jessica, up top, by Busy Trader, right? She retires at 65, a millionaire with a net worth of $2,062,845 this time. Coincidence? Is this a coincidence?
I'm so sick of these people. You know. Oh.
The funny thing is, the guy that goes by the Instagram handle Personal Finance Club also sells a course, but his is less than $100. And he has over 900 posts on his page compared to Heather Lindsey's 100 posts on her Busy Trader account. I'll let you infer on who copied who. Alright, so this is the same image we saw on her webinar, right? I hired him to help with shipping products. I'm paying him $12,000 a year in Roth IRA plus taxable account, 6K each, whatever, right? That's the image we saw on her webinar. Slide to the left. This is a person called the Mom Trotter, right? The Mom Trotter. Family of, I guess, 4 or 5? 6? Maybe. Who knows? When I found out I could pay as much as $12,000 per year through the business, I was excited for various reasons. Because it counts as a business tax deduction for my business. Because he has earned income as an employee, he can contribute to his custodial Roth IRA at up to $6K per year. Does that sound familiar to y'all? Because I pay him $12K per year, he doesn't pay payroll, taxes, or have to file taxes. With a Roth IRA, the money is tax-free. Does that sound at all familiar to the webinar I just showed you of Heather talking about her son basically doing the same thing? The stories write themselves sometimes, you know? The stories write themselves sometimes.
Why, Dada? Why?
This is business.
This is my sweat.
I know, but I did business.
Shut up! Shut up!
This is business.
Hey.
And for added confirmation, that person also replied in the comments. She says, "Wow, I just saw her post about paying her 8-year-old a few days after I posted mine, and exactly how I do it too. She says she's a Christian, so that's between her and God." Someone says, at Spiritual World, not the Lindseys back at it again on their Dana Chanel flex. Ah, my buddies, Dana Chanel and Prince Donnell. Basically, the message on their post says, be mindful of social media self-declared investment coaches who consciously steal content and distribute intellectual property as their own. This is a gross sign of an individual who lacks integrity and will lie to get money, including promoting a substance-lacking stock trading course. At the Busy Trader, aka Heather Lindsey, was caught stealing content that was not their own. First from at the Personal Finance Club, and now from the Mom Trotter. She has no history with investment banking, and you'll find errors all throughout her content. You are worth so much more than this. Do not pay scammers or unlicensed investment professionals for content when there are far more credible resources available. At the end of the day, you question everybody and everything. Pharmaceutical companies, your doctor, content creators on YouTube, right? Doctors misdiagnose and overprescribe or underprescribe patients all the time. So always double check, always cross-reference anybody and everybody online, even if they are a pastor with no seminary education. All right. But while you look here, watch my past video on another trading education guru, Terry Adrioma, and her $2,500 course that will teach you how to trade and travel. Or watch my other video right here on the profitable business of holding women accountable. All these red pill, MGTOW, manosphere content creators. But yo, as always, if it doesn't feed you, don't water it. And too much of any good thing is good for nothing. How you lot doing today? Say with me. I am doing more, saying less, and keeping that same energy. No cap. Flip the script. I'm out. Deuces. Bow.
It hit you like bad thing, looking like good girl. Told me you different, baby, no acting. Haven't you heard of karma? Haven't you heard at all? Bad thing, looking like centerfold. Told me you different, baby, no acting. Haven't you heard of karma?
No jokes, I'm coming through for you. Been a while since I first knew you. You perfect, no need to change. Only thing that I wish is there was two.